Chapter 147. There were a total of 3 low-rank Earth Realm manuals and 5 top-rank Mortal Realm manuals. If he were to exchange them with the sect, it would be 9,250 low-rank Spirit Stones, which was almost equivalent to all of Yi Chen's Spirit Stone savings. It was undoubtedly a huge fortune. Putting away the manuals, Yi Chen looked around. On the other side of the wall, there was a foot-long yellow gourd, tied with a red string. With a wave of his hand, the yellow gourd fell into Yi Chen's hand. He shook it, and a small friction sound came from the gourd. Pellet? Without thinking, Yi Chen opened the cork of the gourd. Instantly, a fragrant smell came into his nose. Pouring one into his hand, Yi Chen took a closer look. The pellet was the size of a pinky finger, and it was crystal clear with a hint of yellow. There was a faint glow on the surface, and the fragrance was even more intense. Just by taking a breath of the fragrance, the Jin Qi in his body had improved. Although he could not recognize the name and function of the pellet, Yi Chen knew that it was definitely not an ordinary item. After putting away the manuals and the pellet, there was nothing else in the secret chamber. Yi Chen let out a breath and walked out. The tomb was unimaginably large. The passageways inside extended in all directions. It was impossible to tell how many forks there were. It was like a maze. At first, he was curious, but as time went by, Yi Chen got tired of it. Anyone would be annoyed if they were to wander around in the winding tunnels. Plus, there were not as many treasures in this tomb as he had imagined. It was already commendable for Yi Chen to be able to find a secret chamber. After walking through a tunnel, a sword light suddenly shot out from the side. Courting death. Yi Chen did not even look at it as he twisted his sword back. Puchi. A martial disciple fell to the ground with his hands on his neck, his eyes wide open. Taking a low-rank Earth Realm manual from the disciple, Yi Chen smiled bitterly. This person should have been trapped in the tomb as well, and could not get out. Unfortunately, at this moment, not only did he not find a way out, but he also killed people for their treasures. He deserved to die. On the other side of the tomb. Rumble. A wall collapsed. Lin Yu growled in a low voice, "Damn it. Where the hell is the exit?" His luck wasn't as good as Yi Chen's. He only got 1 low-rank Earth Realm manual and 3 or 4 peak-rank Human Realm manuals from the disciples who were trapped in the tomb. He didn't get anything else. When he wanted to go out, he realized that he couldn't find the way back, and was completely trapped in the tomb. "I don't believe there are many walls in front of me." When Lin Yu became determined, he didn't care about anything else and kept walking in a straight line. No matter how many walls there were, he would smash them down. Compared to Yi Chen and Lin Yu, Yin Wuqing seemed to be much calmer. He took out a small and delicate wooden mouse from his bosom and embedded a low-grade spirit stone into its abdomen. Creak! The wooden mouse turned and ran in the other direction. Following closely behind the wooden mouse, Yin Wuqing quickly arrived at the intersection where he came from. There was also a wooden mouse. The 2 wooden mice were together. The lovesick mice are indeed more clever than humans. Putting away the 2 wooden mice, Yin Wuqing walked into the giant whirlpool and disappeared. 2 hours had passed. Hard work paid off. Yi Chen finally found the exit. Although it wasn't the entrance where he came from, he didn't have the time to think about it. He stepped into the whirlpool. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Hearing the sound of wind, Yi Chen opened his eyes and saw nothing but emptiness around him. There seemed to be no end to it, and the misty clouds had gathered together. Lowering his head, he saw that the ground was getting bigger and bigger in his sight. He was in the air. This exit was indeed amazing. Activating the crane shadow steps, Yi Chen's body instantly became much lighter. He shook his arms and glided towards the highland far away. In front of the highland was a huge basin. In the middle of the basin, a fierce battle was taking place. 3 disciples were surrounding another disciple, and blood was spattering on the grassland. "Yuan Henkong, I've given you everything, don't go too far." The disciple who was being surrounded was wearing a blue robe. It was Lu Hanshan. The leading disciple laughed out proudly and said, "I want everything, I want to kill you as well. What can you do to me? You can only blame yourself for being too weak. You're just taking advantage of the fact that you're outnumbered. If you have the ability, fight me one-on-one. If I die, I'll deserve it. If you lose, I won't kill you. What do you think? Lu Hanshan's eyes were gloomy. He knew that the situation was not in his favor. If he tried to save face, he would only end up dead. The only thing he could do was to hope that his opponent would accept his challenge and have a fair fight with him, so that he could find an opportunity to escape. As for killing this guy, he had never thought about it. This guy was Yuan Henjing's blood brother, who was known as the Eagle Killer. Yuan Henjing had always been protective of his people. Not to mention his brother, even if you killed a dog or a chicken, he would still kill your whole family. Yuan Henkong said scornfully, "Do you think I'm an idiot if I don't take advantage of you? Cut the crap, kill him." The three of them each launched their own attacks towards Lu Hanshan. East Rising Purple Chi, Great Monument Suppression. Facing three disciples who were just as powerful as him, Lu Hanshan boosted his Jin Chi to its limit, drew a bridge-like stream of purple mist from the air, and boosted his power to a great extent. After that, he threw out a gigantic purple monument to protect himself. Bang! 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 The attacks launched by the three disciples were incomparably violent. The purple monument shook violently, and countless cracks appeared on it. Break! As a core disciple of the Sky Eagle Castle, which was a rank 7 institution, although Yuan Henkong was not as powerful as his brother, he was definitely one of the most powerful martial artists under the clasping Yuan realm. He held a pair of purple golden hammers with both of his hands, and heavily smashed on the monument. Crack! The monument was shattered, and blood gushed out of the corner of Lu Hanshan's mouth. Die! Yuan Henkong laughed out loud, while swinging his hammers towards Lu Hanshan's head. Piss off! Lu Hanshan's eyes popped out, and he threw a punch towards the purple golden hammers. Clang! Fire sparks flew in all directions, and a strong shockwave spread out, even leaving a deep layer of grass on the ground. Right at this moment, another disciple took the opportunity to sneak up behind Lu Hanshan, ripped his protective Jin Chi apart, and pressed his palm on his back. Puff! Lu Hanshan let out a mouthful of blood, and his face turned pale. He had suffered a serious internal injury. Let's see how you are going to take this. Yuan Henkong's face twisted. He took a step forward and leapt high into the air, while his purple golden hammers burst out with a dazzling golden light, once again smashing towards Lu Hanshan. Puff! At this critical moment, a beam of sword chi darted over from afar, and hacked on Yuan Henkong's purple golden hammers. The purple golden hammers flew out of Yuan Henkong's hands, and Yuan Henkong was greatly shocked. He stepped back once his feet landed on the ground, and regrouped with the other two disciples. Lu Hanshan turned around, and said in surprise, "Brother Yi." A disciple lightly landed beside Lu Hanshan, and that was indeed Yi Chen. He glanced at Lu Hanshan, who was badly injured, frowned and said, "Brother Luo, you are injured. Compared to my life, a little injury is nothing." Seeing Yi Chen, Lu Hanshan secretly let out a sigh of relief. If the two of them joined hands, their chances of survival would be greatly increased. At least they wouldn't be able to do anything to them. Not to mention that he didn't know how powerful Yi Chen was, he could sense that Yi Chen's aura of sharpness was even more powerful than before. He estimated that Yi Chen had already reached the level of the North Snow Fast Blade Lynch. Yuan Henkong glanced at Yi Chen, and found that he was only at the late condensing reality realm. He grinned viciously and said, "Another one who wants to die. Just now, you knocked away my purple golden hammers. I am going to smash your head, tear you into 5 pieces, and scatter them on this basin. Brother Yuan, he has a low-rank great weapon, kill him and take it." Indeed, look at the bulging big bag around his waist, there must be a lot more treasures. Yuan Henkong picked up the purple golden hammers from the ground and said, "What's the rush? In my eyes, this guy is already a dead man. As for treasures, I can share some with you." "Thank you, Brother Yuan." Yi Chen sneered and said, if you can take one sword attack from me, I will spare your lives." "Arrogant! How dare you? How dare you? We will kill you." The three of them showed an intense killing intent. They pushed their Zhenqi to its limit and rushed towards Yi Chen. Cut! Taking a step forward with his left foot, Yi Chen swung his sword down. Puff! A thick stream of sword chi flashed across the waists of the three disciples, leaving a 10-meter-long and meter-deep sword mark on the grassland behind them. Grass chips and mud flew up into the air. In the next moment, the bodies of the three disciples were cut in half and scattered on the ground. What? He killed 3 disciples with one sword attack. Lu Hanshan was so excited that he started coughing. Although he knew that Yi Chen was very powerful, he didn't think that he could be this powerful. He had killed 3 disciples who were at the same level as him with one sword attack. This was not something that Lynch could compete with. Even 3 Lynches wouldn't be able to do this. However, Yi Chen hadn't even reached the clasping Yuan realm yet. How could he be so powerful? No, that sword attack just now seemed to have absorbed all of my soul and spirit, as if it was the only thing left in the world. Could it be that Brother Yi Chen has already mastered the sword intent that all sword artists dream of? Brother Yi, was that the sword intent? Lu Hanshan hurriedly asked. Yi Chen nodded. It was indeed the sword intent. No wonder you could kill 3 people with one sword attack. A sword artist who has mastered the sword intent can challenge people who are at a higher level as easily as eating or drinking. This is not something that ordinary people can imagine. Lu Hanshan was very happy. He was the son of the leader of the Sky Cloud Martial School, and everything he did was for the development of the school. Now, a peerless genius had emerged in the school, which would definitely make the Sky Cloud Martial School even more powerful in the future. But you killed Yuan Hengying's brother. This is not a simple thing. After the joy, Lu Hanshan started to worry. Yuan Hengying, the killer eagle, was way more powerful than Yuan Henkong. If he knew that Yi Chen had killed his brother, he would definitely chase after them at all costs. Although Yi Chen had mastered the sword intent and was able to kill any disciple under the clasping Yuan realm within a second, and was extremely powerful, he might still not be able to rival Yuan Hengying. Yi Chen said, "There's no one here anyway, it's not a big deal to kill him." "You're right, let's get out of here as soon as possible." Lu Hanshan didn't want to stay here any longer, because he didn't want others to see them together with Yuan Henkong's dead body. Not long after the two of them left, a human silhouette walked out from behind a tree on the high ground in the distance. He chuckled and said, "If we run into Yuan Hengying, we can use this as a life-saving talisman and ask him to let us go." Chapter 148. In the lush forest. Luo Hanshan slowly let out a mouthful of foul air that contained a strong smell of blood, opened his eyes and said, "Internal injuries can't be healed within a short period of time. Fortunately, I've already recovered 70 to 80% of my power." Yi Chen said, "Don't worry, the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region has just started, we can wait for a few days. This time, thanks to you, Brother Yi, otherwise, I would have lost my life." Thinking about being surrounded and killed by those people, Luo Hanshan still had a lingering fear. Yi Chen smiled and said nothing. 5 days passed in a flash. During the day, the two of them would wander around, looking for treasures, and at night, Lu Hanshan would meditate to heal his wounds, while Yi Chen would absorb the Yuan Qi from spirit stones, trying his best to break through to the peak of the late condensing reality realm. Early in the morning, the two of them had just come out of their meditative state when a 7-colored light soared into the sky thousands of miles to the east. It connected the heavens and the earth, piercing through the blue dome of heaven. "The Heavenly Dream Battle Palace has opened," Luo Hanshan said in shock. Yi Chen nodded. The most important thing in the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region was not those treasures, manuals or herbs, but the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace, which could help people break through to the next level. Normally, this mysterious palace would not show up, and would only open at a certain time. Some people speculated that only those with enough blood and chi could open the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace in advance, which was not completely unreasonable. Over 100 years ago, in order to avoid losing too many of their disciples, all of those institutions signed an agreement, which stated that disciples from those institutions were not allowed to kill each other in the Heavenly Dream Ancient region, or else, they would be severely punished. However, even after everyone had been sent out, the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace still hadn't appeared. The Heavenly Dream Battle Palace has opened, Brother Luo, let's go. Alright. The two of them activated their Qinggong and flew towards the seven-colored light pillar. Once the colorful light beam appeared, all the disciples from all over the Heavenly Dream Ancient region had seen it. The Heavenly Dream Battle Palace has finally opened. As long as you can get in, you will have a 10% chance of breaking into the Clasping Yuan realm. I have been stuck at the peak of late condensing reality realm for more than a year. This time, I have to succeed. You guys are always going against me. Wait till I reach the Clasping Yuan realm, I will crush you all one by one. How arrogant. Just wait and see how I kill you in the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace. Whether they were exploring alone or fighting with others, most of the sect disciples put down what they were doing and rushed toward the seven-colored light pillar with all their might. The airflow was like a blade, scraping over. Yi Chen and Luo Hanshan were like two gigantic birds, flying in the air at an extremely high speed. Occasionally, they would land on top of a mountain. His ears twitching slightly, Yi Chen lowered his head and noticed the scene at the foot of the mountain. Beside the clear river, a young girl and a young man were confronting each other. The girl's forehead was covered in sweat, and there were dozens of sword marks on her clothes. The strength of these sword marks was just right, only tearing her clothes and not hurting her skin. Dozens of steps away, the young man was calm and unruffled. He held his sword in his hand and looked like he had the situation under his control. Little beauty, your Qinggong isn't bad, but it's a pity that you've met me, young Master Chun. Surrender obediently. The young man was wearing bright green clothes, and his eyes were full of arrogance and lust. His pair of cunning eyes stared at the girl's exposed skin, and he licked his lips from time to time. The girl's face was as cold as ice, and said, I can't believe that a disciple of a big martial institution like you would do such a despicable thing. Even if you die, I won't let you off easily. In front of me, even if you want to die, it won't be that easy. The young man grinned evilly, shook the sword in his hand and thrust it out. All of a sudden, the sword light was as bright as a spring breeze, so warm that people couldn't even raise their hands. When the girl realized what was going on, a sword had already been pressed against her neck, and that cold sword edge was only half an inch away from cutting her main artery. In the air, Luo Hanshan said to Yi Chen, this man is young Master Chun, the head disciple of the Sky Serpent Country's Rank 7 institution, the Zenith Dark Cult. He is ranked 72nd in the Hidden Dragon ranking, and he likes women. God knows how many girls or female disciples from big families have been harmed by him. Only because his grandfather is the Zenith Dark Cult's head elder, he has been safe and sound all this time. Since he's a pervert, I'll just kill him. Yi Chen remained expressionless, pulled out his sword and launched a hack. Beside the river, when young Master Chun was about to move, he suddenly felt that his body had gone cold, and then he lost consciousness. The river behind him was suddenly cut off, and a tens of meters long deep sword mark appeared on the river. The girl sensed that something was wrong, so she activated her Jin Qi and leapt backwards. In the next moment, young Master Chun's body was cut in half from the middle. The cut was smooth and clean, and blood splashed out. Was there someone just now? The girl raised her head confusedly, revealing a beautiful face. It was Ji Shuyan, a core disciple of the Emerald Martial Palace. In her sight, two silhouettes flashed past above her head, turning into tiny black dots within a blink of an eye. However, she soon recognized Yi Chen, because the sharp aura released from his body had become even sharper. Pursing her lips, Ji Shuyan had a complicated look on her face. She still remembered what she had said to Yi Chen a year ago, dragons don't live with snakes, it's impossible for them to be together. But now, it seemed that it was indeed true that dragons don't live with snakes, but their roles had been completely reversed. She was the snake, and Yi Chen was the real dragon, a real dragon that was showing its true power, soaring in the sky. Thinking of this, Ji Shuiyan bit her lips so hard that blood started flowing out. 1,000 miles might be a long distance for ordinary people, and it would take them 10 days to half a month to get there, but for late condensing reality realm warriors, it would only take them half an hour. Stepping on the ground, Lu Hanshan raised his head and looked around, then said in shock, "This colorful light beam has covered the entire lake with a radius of tens of miles, no wonder we can see it so clearly from thousands of miles away, as if it's right in front of our eyes." Yi Chen was also shocked. The colorful light beam had a diameter of tens of miles, and its height was immeasurable. It had already pierced through the sky and reached deep into the void. No one knew how far the colorful light beam had reached. It was as if the entire heavenly dream ancient region had been shrouded by this light beam. More and more disciples rushed over and gathered around the lake. "The heavenly dream battle palace must be under the lake, let's go down first." A core disciple from one of the institutions didn't change his direction and rushed into the colorful light beam. What happened next was horrifying. This colorful light beam was like a beam of light that could destroy the starry sky. Those disciples who had rushed into the light beam didn't even have the time to let out a scream before their bodies silently disintegrated and merged with the colorful light beam. Those who followed behind couldn't stop their bodies. Some had their arms disintegrated, some had their heads disintegrated, some had half of their bodies disintegrated, but not even a single drop of blood flowed out from the wounds. "Divine light of extinction, this is the divine light of extinction!" Someone yelled out. Hearing this, Lu Hanshan frowned and said, "The divine light of extinction only exists in the top sky. I didn't expect that the heavenly dream ancient region would also have it. If it really is the divine light of extinction, even Sea of Souls realm warriors wouldn't be able to get through it. Only life and death realm warriors could rely on their defensive power to get in, but it would still be dangerous. Is this divine light of extinction really that powerful?" Yi Chen saw that the colorful light beam looked like a dream. He thought that it didn't have any destructive power. But now, it seemed that the more beautiful something was, the more destructive it would be. Lu Hanshan nodded and said, "There are many kinds of yuan qi in this world. Some yuan qi can combine in pairs and form a destructive qi, and if more yuan qi is combined, it can transform into a divine light. Some of these divine lights can heal wounds, some can make people hundreds of times more energetic, and some can be even more powerful. For example, this divine light of extinction, anything that is shrouded by it will be turned into ashes, including souls, which will completely disappear from this world." While the two of them were talking, over 100 people had gathered around the lake, and the number was growing rapidly. "Lu Hanshan, Brother Yi." Two silhouettes flew over. They were Zhu Mei and Su Jing. Yi Chen asked, "Eldest sister, senior sister Su, are you all right?" Zhu Mei grinned and said, "We're lucky, we met each other not long after we were teleported in. I'm a bit ashamed, but I think I should give up my position as the eldest sister. Junior sister Su Jing is even more powerful than I thought." Su Jing didn't say anything. Hidden Dragon ranked martial artists are here as well. In Yi Chen's sight, Mo Wuxue, Yuan Henging, Hong Qianjun, Wei Dongxi, and the other Hidden Dragon ranked martial artists had all arrived. "Disciples of our Evil Blood Martial School, come here. Disciples of the Sky Eagle Castle Martial School, what are you waiting for? Disciples of the Multiple Mountain Martial School, gather. Disciples of the Cyan Bamboo Martial School, as early clasping Yuan Realm martial artists, the few of them gathered their disciples once they arrived. After that, all the other Hidden Dragon-ranked martial artists followed suit. Not far behind Yi Chen, Ji Shuiyan had just arrived. She glanced at Yi Chen's back with a complicated look, then walked towards young Master Emerald, Zhuang Fei. Another half an hour later, the number of people standing around the lake had reached over 400. Except for one or two people who occasionally arrived, almost all of them had arrived. There were over 600 people when we came in, but now, only around 400 are left. Those who died were all the best disciples of their institutions. Luo Hanshan sighed. Zhu Mei said happily, "Our Sky Cloud Martial School is still okay, all four of us are still here. You see, some of our institutions have all lost their disciples, none of them survived, and some of our institutions only have one disciple left. A general success is built on thousands of bones." Yi Chen murmured in his head. Another half an hour later, no one else arrived. At this moment, the eagle killer Yuan Hengying suddenly growled out. Where is my brother Yuan Hengkong? Why isn't he here yet? Have any of you seen him? Have you seen my brother Yuan Hengkong? Tell me. Randomly grabbing a disciple who didn't even dare to look at him, Yuan Hengying's voice was filled with a strong killing intent. I don't know. That disciple's teeth were chattering. If you don't know, why should I keep you alive? Puff! That disciple's head was twisted off, he died an innocent death. Yi Chen, don't give yourself away. Seeing this horrible scene, Luo Hanshan's heart suddenly tightened. He sent a message to Yi Chen with his Jinqi. Yi Chen responded blandly, Brother Luo, don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Beside him, Zhu Mei said in a low voice, this guy has gone too far. How can he kill people for no reason? Does he think he can do whatever he wants just because he is powerful? Luo Hanshan gave a bitter smile. Zhu Mei was slightly more powerful than him, but she was a bit too soft. Yuan Hengying didn't go to the places where there were powerful hidden dragon-ranked martial artists. Instead, he went to the places where there were no powerful hidden dragon-ranked martial artists. At this moment, he had killed another disciple and was walking towards the Sky Cloud Martial School. Have you seen my brother Yuan Hengkong? With blood-red eyes, Yuan Hengying glanced at the four of them and said in a cold voice. Yi Chen didn't move at all. Sorry, I have never seen him. Kid, how dare you? You can even stay so calm in front of me. It seems that you are the most suspicious one. Tell me the truth. Yuan Hengying approached Yi Chen step by step. What a joke. If you haven't seen him, then you haven't. What are you going to do? A killing intent flashed across Yi Chen's eyes. He was ready for a bloody fight. Chapter 149. Junior brother Yi, don't be impulsive. However, if this Yuan Hengying is too aggressive, let's attack together. While talking to Yi Chen with his Jinqi, Luo Hanshan had also informed Zhu Mei and Su Jing, telling them to prepare for a bloody fight. At the same time, he had made up his mind that he would make Yuan Hengying bleed, even if he had to give up his own life. Zhu Mei and Su Jing silently nodded. Their Jinqi was ready to burst out. As soon as Yuan Hengying made his move, they would launch a thunderous attack. The scene was deathly silent and a tragic atmosphere spread out. Mo Wuxue and the other hidden dragon rank warriors watched this scene with interest. Compared to the other martial institutions, although the Sky Cloud Martial School was relatively weak, they were quite united. It seemed like they were ready to risk their lives to fight against Yuan Hengying. Unfortunately, sometimes, risking one's life did not mean it would be useful. In front of absolute power, everything else was useless. Lu Wuxiang and Ji Xueyan looked at Zhuang Fei with pity. Zhuang Fei said blandly, the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region is a man-eating place, just protect yourself, don't worry about anything else. Eldest senior brother is right. Other people's business has nothing to do with us. They deserve to die. Challenging Yuan Hengying, courting death. The other core disciples of the Emerald Martial Palace were gloating. In the direction of the Purple Sun Martial School, Ouyang Ming said excitedly, Cousin, it seems like we don't need to do anything to those people from the Sky Cloud Martial School, Yuan Hengying will be able to kill them. Ouyang Lai said, they are destined to die, but that's good, we don't have to think about how to kill them, and we can focus on entering the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace. When the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region closes and everyone gets out, those old guys from the Sky Cloud Martial School will definitely have a very interesting look on their faces. The others also began to discuss spiritedly. These four are dead for sure. Who doesn't know that the Eagle Killer has always been ruthless? Originally, only one needed to die. The other three were too impulsive. Let's hope that Killer Eagle doesn't come after us after killing them. Why don't we leave this place first and come back after the seven-colored pillar of light dissipates? Junior brother, do we not want to die even if you want to? It would be strange if the Killer Eagle didn't kill us after seeing us run. The discussions of the crowd didn't distract Yi Chen. His eyes were sharp, and the sharp aura on his body had been accumulated to the peak, fusing with his sword intent. You have guts, you really do have guts. But being gutsy is not a good thing. Today, you will all die. I, Yuan Hengying, will never leave anyone alive. Chirp. Yuan Hengying's body shook, the dark cyan Jinqi around his body turned into a soaring eagle. The eagle let out a long cry, its murderous aura spread out in all directions. The air rippled like water, it was extremely sticky. Look, Yuan Hengying is going to make his move. Ah, that kid seems to be about to use a killer move as well. Everyone was surprised. In their line of sight, Yi Chen's right hand was placed on the hilt of his sword. The sword was not out of its sheath, but its sharpness was already apparent. The surrounding grass and trees were cut in half, as if they had been injured by the invisible sword qi. Grinning viciously, Yuan Hengying was about to launch his attack. The Jinqi eagle around his body was ready to pounce, but right at that moment, the colorful light column changed. The tens of miles thick colorful light column quickly became thinner, and within 2 blinks of an eye, it had already shrunk to 100 meters thick, standing in the middle of the lake. The divine light of extinction has disappeared, let's go. Some of the disciples couldn't wait any longer, they rushed out like an arrow, leapt high into the air, and dived into the lake like shuttles. The others saw that there was no danger this time, so they all jumped into the water without hesitation. Splash, 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 the sound of jumping into the water could be heard continuously. Within a blink of an eye, only tens of disciples were left standing by the lake. Let's go down. On the other side, Zhuang Fei had also jumped into the water with his Emerald Martial Palace's disciples. Yuan Hengying's facial expression changed a few times. At the moment, he had 2 choices, one was to let go of Yi Chen and his friends and dive into the water right away, and the other was to kill them and then dive into the water. The latter might take some time, because the sharp aura released from Yi Chen's body was extremely sharp, it was not realistic to kill him and his friends within 1 or 2 moves. You're lucky, I hope that you won't run into me in the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace, HM. After thinking for a while, Yuan Hengying decided to choose the first option. The Heavenly Dream Battle Palace was extremely mysterious, he was afraid that he might miss the right time and cause a lot of changes. Turning around, Yuan Hengying dived straight into the lake without dispelling his Jinqi eagle. Standing on the lake, the few disciples slightly let out a sigh of relief. Fortunately, this colorful light column disappeared in time. Lu Hanshan's clothes were soaked in cold sweat, he raised his head and looked at the empty lake. Zhu Mei nodded and said, although Yuan Hengying's character is not good, but undoubtedly, he is extremely powerful, especially that fierce aura of killing tens of thousands of people. It makes people feel like they have arrived in hell, and there are mountains of corpses and oceans of blood everywhere. Let's go. Among the 4 of them, the calmest one was without a doubt, Yi Chen. Just now, he had already prepared himself for a bloody battle. Of course, in terms of power, he was still much weaker than Yuan Hengying, he was only as powerful as Lin Yu, who was ranked 70th in the last Hidden Dragon ranking. If he used the heart refining, he might be able to barely win against Lin Yu. However, Yuan Hengying was not Lin Yu, he was at least 30% more powerful than Lin Yu, and was ranked 59th in the last Hidden Dragon ranking. With only his late condensing reality realm cultivation and sword intent, it would be very difficult for Yi Chen to defeat Yuan Hengying. Therefore, if this battle started, there would only be 2 outcomes, one, Yi Chen would die, and Yuan Hengying would be severely wounded, the other, they would all die together, and there would be no winner. No matter which one it was, Yi Chen would not like either one. Splash! 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 Water splashed everywhere, the 4 of them dove into the bottom of the lake, leaving only the empty lakeside. Such a huge pressure. Once they dove into the water, the 4 of them felt that their protective Jinqi had tightened, and was about to collapse. Yi Chen activated his soul power and spread it out. He found that the water in the lake was not transparent, it was mixed with a 7-colored color, as if it was made of a 7-colored crystal, and its density was higher than that of water. This is not ordinary water, everyone, be careful. Yi Chen reminded them. As they dove deeper and deeper, the pressure of the lake water increased as well. When they reached 100 meters deep, the protective layer of Jinqi, which was 3 feet away from their skin, had shrunk by a large margin, and was now only 2 feet away from their skin. Apart from this, the great pressure had also brought a great resistance, and their diving speed had been slowed down to an extremely low level. Suddenly, blood surged up from the bottom of the lake. Is there a fight going on down there? The Heavenly Dream Battle Palace is not far away from here, why would they waste their time on a fight? Yi Chen frowned, he felt that something was wrong. Crack! Silently, Yi Chen's protective layer of Jinqi was bitten through by something, and the water gushed in, sending him flying tens of meters away. Brother Yi! Lu Hanshan clearly saw that it was a weird-looking fish that had bitten through Yi Chen's protective layer of Jinqi. The fish's body was as thin as a shuttle, about 5 feet long, and its mouth was filled with sawtooth-like teeth, shining with a cold light. The weird fish was way too fast. Yi Chen's protective layer of Jinqi had already been bitten through by Lu Hanshan. It was impossible for Lu Hanshan to defend himself. Boom! Su Jing was the first one to launch the attack. A pair of fiery light rings condensed behind her head, which were still shining brightly even in the water, and boosted her power. She threw a punch on the weird fish's abdomen. Large amounts of blood gushed out of the weird fish's mouth. It swam for tens of meters and stopped moving. Tens of meters away, Yi Chen was trying his best to control his boiling blood. He was secretly shocked. This fish's teeth are way too sharp. His protective layer of Jinqi didn't even work, it was broken by a single bite. Fortunately, he had cultivated his body to the golden jade body, so not even a piece of his flesh was torn off. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so easily injured. Swiftly swimming over, Yi Chen said, "I'm fine." Lu Hanshan's face darkened and said, "If I'm not wrong, these weird fishes are ancient piranhas. Their sharp teeth can bite through most metals. They are 10 times more powerful than the piranhas of today." Zhu Mei said, "Brother Yi, the martial art you have been practicing is way too low level. I'm afraid that you won't be able to defend yourself against the attacks of these ancient piranhas. Why don't you come with us?" Indeed, we have all been practicing low-rank Earth Realm martial arts. It's more than enough to defend against 2 to 3 ancient piranhas. Lu Hanshan didn't realize until now that Yi Chen had been practicing a top-rank mortal realm martial art, the pure Jun Jinqi. In terms of attacking power, it might not be any weaker than low-rank Earth Realm martial arts, but in terms of defensive power, it was much weaker. Yi Chen's Jinqi was also not as rich as theirs, he was the weakest one among all of them. Yi Chen shook his head and said, "Just now, I was distracted by the blood and water down there, I didn't notice the ancient piranha's sneak attack. I'll be more careful from now on." After having suffered a great loss this time, Yi Chen didn't dare to be careless anymore. He spread his soul power to cover a radius of tens of meters. Once there was any movement, he would be able to sense it. The 4 of them kept diving down. As the water pressure increased, more and more ancient piranhas appeared. At the beginning, there were only 1 or 2 of them, but now there were small groups of piranhas. Cut! As if he had eyes on his back, Yi Chen turned around and threw out a sword attack. Puff! The water was cut open, and the thick sword chi flashed across the air. The next moment, a small group of ancient piranhas were cut in half, and the blood spread everywhere, making it impossible to see anything. Further down there, a conspiracy was taking place. "You guys want to die? How dare you stop me?" Hong Qianjun, who was ranked 69th in the last hidden dragon rank, showed a strong killing intent in his eyes. His voice spread out along with his Jinqi. Ouyang Ming swallowed his saliva and said, "Hong Qianjun, one of the inner elders of our Purple Sun Martial School is a member of your Hong family's branch. This time, we want to talk business with you." Hong Qianjuan's killing intent didn't decrease, he said coldly, "What business? Kill a man for us? Are you kidding me? Who do you think you are? You want me to kill someone for you? Believe it or not, I will kill you right now." Hong Qianjuan's words were 30% true, and 70% false. He just wanted to scare them, and make them bleed more. As for killing someone, it was a simple thing, and he didn't mind spending a little bit of time on it. However, it depended on whether he was satisfied with the reward. The eldest disciple of the Purple Sun Martial School, Ouyang Lai, said blandly, "After this is done, I'll give you 50,000 low-rank spirit stones." "Huh, you think I'm a beggar? 100,000 for killing someone, and 20,000 for wasting my time. Not a single one less, or I will kill you right now." "Alright, as you wish." Ouyang Ming's heart was bleeding. 120,000 low-grade spirit stones were equivalent to 48 million taels of gold. If he had a choice, he would rather give 80 million taels of gold to the elder because only a small number of low-grade spirit stones could be auctioned in the auction. This time, the inner sect elder promised him 100,000 low-grade spirit stones, and the remaining 20,000 would have to be paid by him and his cousin. Kill who? Also, I'm warning you, don't go back on your word. With the multiple mountain martial school, we'll never suffer losses. Ouyang Ming said coldly, "Yi Chen." Chapter 150. The bottom of the lake was immeasurably deep. The first batch of disciples had already dived hundreds of meters, and their protective Jinqi had been compressed to a foot away from their skin. But that was not all, they were surrounded by horrifying ancient piranhas. These piranhas had formed groups and were specifically attacking the disciples who were alone. Those with strong protective Jinqi could hold on for a while, but those with weak Jinqi would be completely devoured after 2 or 3 attacks, not even bones would be left. It was a bloody scene. Head disciple sister, second disciple brother, luckily we have your Sky Holy Water spell to protect us. Not all of the disciples from the Rudra martial school were facing the attacks of the ancient piranhas. The 5 disciples from the Rudra martial school were wrapped in a cone-shaped water shield. The water shield was as thick as a fist, and the water surface was rotating at a speed invisible to the naked eye, like a drill. Those 5-feet-long piranhas were thrown away once they touched the water shield, and couldn't even get close to them. Although the 10-feet-long giant piranhas were not thrown away, the water shield was unimaginably hard, and they couldn't bite through it. After a while, their gums started to bleed because of the rotating water. Nangongyun put both of her hands on the inner wall of the water shield and said, "I can't defend against the ancient piranhas alone. Only with Sister Qin and I, we have such an effect." Yuan Shuamei smiled and said, "Training the Sky Holy Water spell, 1 drop of Jinqi is more than 100 pounds. This water shield is mixed with normal water, and it already has such a strong defense. If it was all made with Jinqi, it would be more than 10 times stronger. It's not that easy. The Jinqi from the Sky Holy Water spell is very little, and we need to mix it with water Yuan Qi during normal battles, not to mention such a huge defensive shield." On the other side, a girl in cyan clothes also put both of her hands on the inner wall of the water shield. She shook her head and smiled bitterly. While they were talking, the water shield was like a spiral drill, and it dived another 200 to 300 meters. Great monument suppression. 10 miles fragrance. All demons fall. Under the water, there was a turbulent undercurrent. A 10 meters tall monument made of Jinqi fell down and landed in the middle of the ancient piranhas. The shockwave spread out and killed a large group of them. After that, faintly discernible sword light sprinkled out like 100 flowers blooming, and also like a fragrance wafting for 10 miles. It enveloped all the ancient piranhas in front of it and started to kill them endlessly. In the end, it formed a huge flower of blood mist. The sword light dimmed, and a resplendent golden light shone, spreading out in a fan shape. It contained countless fist shadows, and every punch had the power of 1,000 caddies. Wherever it went, the water would explode, and whirlpools would appear. The man-eating fish were dizzy and unable to move, and were beaten to death. "This won't do. There are too many piranhas, I can only kill about 10 of them with a full power attack, I can't kill them all," Luo Hanshan said to the other 3 through his Jinqi. Su Jing rarely spoke. "Don't get entangled. Dive with all your might. Senior Sister Su is right. Continuing to fight is just a waste of time. Everyone, try your best to go down as fast as possible. I'll stay behind. Brandishing his sword and killing one piranha after another, Yichen felt that his innate chi was being consumed rapidly. He had already used up a third of it. How can we do that? Zhu Mei disagreed. Luo Hanshan understood what Yichen meant. He turned to Zhu Mei and said, "Don't underestimate Brother Yi, he is the most powerful one among us, he can easily kill Ouyang Ming." Really? Zhu Mei didn't believe it. She hesitated for a second, then decided to follow the plan. Together with Luo Hanshan and Su Jing, Zhu Mei dived down with all their strength. However, she had made up her mind that once Yichen was in danger, she would come back immediately. Swallowing a pill that could help him recover his Jin Qi, Yichen activated his sword intent and slashed out with his sword. Whirlwind and clouds. In the blink of an eye, the violent sword Qi shot out, rising straight up in a spiral shape. In the next moment, a huge waterspout was formed in the water. The waterspout was filled with incomparably sharp sword Qi, constantly killing the piranhas nearby or far away. Puchi, 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 Puchi. After this sword move, Yichen's Jinqi dropped by a small half again. He couldn't help but smile bitterly, and thought to himself, "It seems that I have to find a low-rank Earth Realm martial art to cultivate when I get back. Otherwise, with my current Jinqi, I won't be able to use the shocking cloud sword art as much as I want." Down below, Zhu Mei turned around and saw what had happened. She said in shock, "How come Brother Yi is so powerful? I felt that every single beam of sword Qi in that waterspout could injure me badly." You might not believe it, but Brother Yi has already mastered the sword intent, and he can easily kill other martial artists at the same level as him. I saw him kill 3 disciples who were no weaker than me with only one sword move, and they couldn't even fight back at all. Luo Hanshan said with a big smile. Zhu Mei's eyes popped out. He has mastered the sword intent. No wonder he is so powerful. Before Xue Wuren, the leader of the Northern Snow Martial Academy, had mastered the blade intent, he was only as powerful as an inner elder, and his talent was just average as well. However, once he mastered the blade intent, his power skyrocketed, and he could even compete with Shuang Qingxian, the leader of the Emerald Martial Palace. Until now, no one has ever seen him use all of his power. Soon, Yichen caught up with them. However, right at this moment, the water started vibrating intensely. A tens of meters long, gigantic Jinqi palm, which was emitting a khaki-yellow light, shrouded the 4 of them. Yichen's eyes shone with an intense killing intent. He launched a boundless cloud attack. Rumble. Once the gigantic sword Qi touched the gigantic Jinqi palm, it was as if tens of bombs had been detonated under the water. Luo Hanshan, Zhu Mei, and Zhu Mei were sent flying by the shockwave. Their Qi and blood started boiling, and they almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Hong Qianjun. Luo Hanshan's pupils contracted. He noticed a tall and sturdy silhouette in the water. That silhouette's muscles were as strong as those of a human ape, just like Lin Yu's. "Ha, so you are the disciples of the Sky Cloud Martial School." Hong Qianjun had launched this palm attack from far away. He didn't see who had blocked it, so he thought that it was the combined power of the 4 of them. Thinking like this, he didn't care about it at all. There were many obstacles in the water, therefore, when he launched that palm attack, he only had 70 to 80% of his power left. Zhu Mei frowned and asked, "Why did you attack us?" Hong Qianjun curled his lips and said, "You're not very popular, someone even offered a large amount of low-grade spirit stones to buy your lives." "Buy our lives?" Yuan Henging. "Impossible, he's a hidden dragon-ranked martial artist, how could he let others take advantage of him? But besides him, who else would want to offend our Sky Cloud Martial School? Could it be the Purple Sun Martial School?" "Yeah, the Purple Sun Martial School and our Sky Cloud Martial School are mortal enemies. Now that they've seen the rise of our junior brother Yi, they won't give up." Hong Qianjun, let's get straight to the point, it's the Purple Sun Martial School's people who want our lives. Hong Qianjun shook his head and said, "I don't care about that, what I want to do is to kill you. But now, I can give you a chance. Among the 4 of you, only one can survive. In other words, the other three can either kill themselves or be killed by me, and the last one should run. Yi-Chen said blandly, you think you've got us? Who the hell do you think you are? Among the four of us, you'll definitely die. Hong Qianyuan's body was surrounded by a layer of yellow light, which made it impossible for the piranhas to bite through it. Yi-Chen said slowly, today, you'll also die. The blue veins on Hong Qianyuan's forehead suddenly bulged. He said in a hideous voice, you're just like a dog, how dare you yell in front of me? Just wait until I break all of your bones and make you beg for death, I'll see if you can still talk back then. Hundreds of meters away, Ouyang Lai and Ouyang Ming were standing side by side, talking while killing the piranhas nearby. Cousin, do you think this Hong Qianyun can kill them? Why do I have a bad feeling about this? Lightning flashed, and 4 piranhas were burnt black by the lightning. Rushing Thunder Hand Ouyang Lai snorted and said, Hong Qianyun is ranked 69th in the Hidden Dragon ranking. He was only at the peak of the late condensing reality realm, but he was already able to easily kill disciples at the same level as him. Now that he has stepped into the clasping Yuan realm, how could he not be able to kill these 4? You're right. Ouyang Ming nodded. Earlier, on the lakeside, when Yuan Henging was about to kill Yi Chen and the other 3, the 7-colored light columns suddenly disappeared, which ruined their plan. The more they thought about it, the more worried they became. After entering the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace, there was a 10% chance for them to step into the clasping Yuan realm. If they didn't step into the clasping Yuan realm, it would be fine, but once they stepped into the clasping Yuan realm, it would be very difficult for them to kill them. After all, they wouldn't have the chance forever. In for a penny, in for a pound, in for a pound. Both of them spent a large amount of low-grade spirit stones to invite Hong Qianyun to help them kill Yi Chen and the other 3, and kill them under the water. When they're dying, we can go up and finish them off. Ouyang Lai's nickname was Rushing Thunder Hand, but his temperament was even gloomier than Ouyang Ming's. He was extremely cruel. Hee, that would be great. Once Hong Qianyun said those words, he sensed the sword chi coming right at his face, and the yellow-colored light column seemed to collapse. At the same time, Yi Chen's voice came, you could have gone to the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace safely, and nothing would have happened. You might have even improved your cultivation, but you're digging your own grave, don't blame me. I'd like to see who will end up like a dead dog. When he was confronting Yuan Henging, Yi Chen didn't have the chance to launch the first attack, because he didn't have the confidence to kill Yuan Henging. Unfortunately, Hong Qianyun wasn't Yuan Henging, he was only as powerful as Lin Yu. Although it would be a bit difficult to kill him, it wasn't impossible. Once he launched the attack, Yi Chen activated his sword intent with all of his power and launched the shocking cloud sword art. The thick sword chi contained an inexhaustible explosive power. Wherever it reached, the water would be cut open and the water behind it would explode, pushing the sword chi forward at an even faster speed. Sword intent. Hong Qianyuan's face turned pale with fright. The sword intent had always been difficult to learn, and Yi Chen was only a late condensing reality realm martial artist. How could he have learned the sword intent? Hong Qianyun was slightly stunned, then his face turned fierce. He knew that he couldn't let this man live, otherwise, he would become a great threat in the future, and he had to kill him as soon as possible. Thinking of this, Hong Qianyun let out a great shout, and the yellow-colored light column around his body suddenly expanded, locking the space around him. Mountain-shattering stamp. Hong Qianyun locked his fingers together and launched a palm attack. Buzz! The speed of the sword chi was very fast. However, as soon as it entered the earthen yellow halo, its speed plummeted, as if there was an endless obstacle. In the time it took for a spark to fly off a piece of flint, a round of earthen yellow palm prints broke through the water flow and heavily struck the sword chi. Crack! The sword chi was shattered, and the remaining sword chi was twisted by the yellow-colored light column, then disappeared. However, Hong Qianyun had underestimated the power of the sword chi, and one of his sleeves was cut off. Chapter 151. Damn it, I want you to die. Facing a late condensing reality realm warrior, Hong Qianyun was enraged, his face turned extremely pale, he threw out another mountain-shattering stamp. Mountain-shattering stamp was a low-rank Earth realm martial skill that only belonged to the multiple mountain martial school. Once the mountain-shattering stamp was launched, all of the martial artist's power would be concentrated on a single point, and it was even more powerful than ordinary low-rank Earth realm martial skills. When Hong Qianjun was at the peak level late condensing reality realm, he had shattered the protective Jin Qi of an early clasping Yuan realm martial artist with this skill. At this moment, he launched the mountain-shattering stamp with all of his power. The surrounding water currents were violently stirred up, and an astonishing undercurrent kept attacking Yi Chen's body, as if it wanted to send him flying and push him back. Moreover, under the pressure of the undercurrent, the protective aura around him that was 3 feet away from his body was making creaking sounds, as if it couldn't bear the heavy pressure. Yi Chen's eyes were sharp, and his body, which was as immovable as a mountain, shook slightly. The pervasive sword intent spread out along with his strength, cutting off the source of the undercurrent. Suddenly, the undercurrent that had lost its source was like a poisonous snake that had been hit in its weak spot. It seemed to be strong in appearance but weak in reality. Mountain condensing sword Qi. This series of changes happened in a split second. Yi Chen took a step forward, and the water under his feet became as solid as iron. Yi Chen didn't see how he moved, but the hidden cloud sword in his hand had already been swung out, and his whole body was frozen in the same position. The thick sword Qi was like a mountain, cutting through the water and part of the earthy yellow halo, colliding with the earthy yellow palm print. Qi 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 Qi. This time, the sword Qi did not shatter. Instead, it vibrated and rubbed against each other at a high speed. Wave after wave of boundless power slashed onto the palm print. What sword technique is this? Hong Qianjuan's heart sank, and his desire to kill Yi Chen grew even stronger. He couldn't allow himself to be defeated by a late condensing reality realm warrior, even if the latter had comprehended the sword intent. After all, he was a hidden dragon-ranked martial artist. If this news spread out, it would be a great blow to his reputation. Puchi. In the end, the palm print only had one layer of power. Under the slash of the sword Qi, it quickly disintegrated and was cut in half. The next moment, the sword Qi, which did not seem to be weakening, shot toward the deeper layer of the earthy yellow halo. It moved like lightning, ignoring the obstruction of the water flow. And theft as a marquee. Hong Qianjun pushed his Jin Qi to its limit. The yellow halo around his body became even more dazzling, it was almost tangible. After that, the yellow halo quickly combined together and transformed into a small, illusory city, which protected Hong Qianjuan's body and stabilized the surrounding water flow, blocking the sharp sword Qi. What kind of defensive technique is this? It's even more terrifying than my combination skill, Purple Qi from the East, Great Monument Suppression. Lu Hanshan was a master of the art of defense. Even Ouyang Ming, who had mastered the dragon beheading kick, had not been able to break his defense with only one move, and he would be able to hold his own against 2 martial artists who were at the same level as him. However, when he saw Hong Qianjuan's small, illusory city, he realized that his defense was far weaker than Hong Qianjuan's, even if he had stepped into the clasping Yuan realm. Suddenly, he started worrying about Yi Chen. Ouyang Ming and Ouyang Lai were dumbfounded at the same time. How is this possible? You barely defeated Shirpatian, how come you have the strength to fight against Hong Qianjun now? Impossible. Ouyang Ming couldn't believe his own eyes, and said bitterly. Ouyang Lai said in a deep voice, fortunately, we didn't find a chance to attack him ourselves, otherwise, we would have been killed by him. But, since the gods have allowed us to escape, it means that we still have a chance to kill him. Now, let's just wait and see. He won't be able to hold on for long. The multiple mountain martial school's land-splitting art is a mid-rank earth realm martial art. Even if Hong Qianjun hasn't mastered it completely, he will still be invincible. Indeed, Yi Chen is dead for sure. He won't be able to break Hong Qianjuan's defense. Clang, 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 the sword Qi struck on the small, illusory city, causing dazzling fire sparkles to burst out. The fire sparkles didn't die out even after being touched by water. Instead, the scorching heat from the fire sparkles burned large groups of piranhas to death. However, no matter how fast the sword qi struck, the small, illusory city, which was formed by Jin qi, remained as stable as a mountain. Even a small crack couldn't shake the city, not to mention killing Hong Qianjun. My earth-splitting art is a mid-rank earth realm martial art, how could you possibly break it? Dream on. Hong Qianjun laughed arrogantly. The Multiple Mountain Martial School was a rank 7 institution in the White Mystery Nation, and they didn't have too many low-rank earth realm martial arts. Half a year ago, when he stepped into the Clasping Yuan realm, the headmaster of the Multiple Mountain Martial School directly gave him the earth-splitting art. The earth-splitting art was divided into 11 levels, and after spending half a year studying it, and being taught by an inner elder, Hong Qianjun had already reached the 8th level of the earth-splitting art, which was even more powerful than the highest level of low-rank earth realm martial arts. This was definitely his strongest defense. Yi Chen remained expressionless, while he let out a resonant growl. Explode! Boom! The thick sword qi exploded right next to the small, illusory city. Tiny pieces of sword qi darted across the air and clanged against the city wall, forcing Hong Qianjun to take a step back. Hong Qianjun didn't get angry, instead, he laughed out loud, locked his fingers together and launched 2, mountain-shattering stamp. The power of the mountain-shattering stamp seemed to contain the power of a small mountain. Wherever it reached, the water would explode and surge towards Yi Chen like a raging tide. Swirling clouds. Facing the incoming palm attacks, Yi Chen took a deep breath and let out a growl, then launched the shocking cloud sword art, which had the widest range of attack. All of a sudden, countless streams of sword qi swirled up, stirred up the water, and darted out like a gigantic serpent. Puff! 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 Boom! The sounds of the mountain-shattering stamp, and the sounds of the sword qi surged up one after another, shaking people's hearts. Any piranha that approached were either crushed or punctured. Lu Hanshan and the other two had already retreated to a distance of 800 meters, and could only faintly see 2 human silhouettes fighting. Brother Yi is indeed powerful, he's fighting evenly with Hong Qianjun, who is ranked in the Hidden Dragon ranking, but he's still at the late condensing reality realm, not even at the peak of the late condensing reality realm. Lu Hanshan was shocked, but he also seemed a bit numb, but he was still extremely happy. Zhu Mei frowned and said, Lu Hanshan, Brother Yi is in danger. Why? Lu Hanshan was surprised. Before Zhu Mei could answer, Su Jing said blandly, Brother Yi has been practicing a top-rank mortal realm art, his Jin Qi is not enough, plus the limitation of his cultivation, he is at least 3 times weaker than Hong Qianjun. Hong Qianjun is trying to consume Brother Ye's Jin Qi, and when he is weakened, he will kill him with one strike. Now that you mention it, it's true, I was too careless. Lu Hanshan was too excited just now, so he didn't notice some subtle things. Now that he was reminded by Zhu Mei, he immediately became vigilant. But Brother Yi should still have some tricks up his sleeves, he doesn't look like someone who lacks consideration. After saying that, Su Jing added. 800 meters away from the east side of the battlefield. Ouyang Lai sneered, in a few more minutes, Yi Chen will die for sure. Ouyang Ming knew what Ouyang Lai meant, he grinned viciously and said, the older, the wiser. Hong Qianjun has been through hundreds of battles, he has encountered all kinds of opponents. How could Yi Chen, who has just risen to power, compare with him? When his Jin Qi is weakened, he will definitely be crushed to death. In fact, Hong Qianjun is seriously injured, while Yi Chen is dying, this is the best result. By that time, Lu Hanshan and the other two will definitely rush up and attack Hong Qianjun together. Even if Hong Qianjun is seriously injured, he will still be able to kill them, which will aggravate his injuries. Ouyang Ming's eyes brightened, you mean, we can take advantage of the situation, and conveniently kill Hong Qianjun as well? Ouyang Lai's face darkened. Hong Qianjun smirked and said, there is always a huge gap between the condensing reality realm and the clasping yuan realm, no matter how powerful you are, you can't escape from this fact. How much Jin Qi do you have left? I guess not more than 20%. It's enough to kill you. Yi Chen's facial expression didn't change at all, but his eyes were getting sharper and sharper, as if he could see through everything and see through everything. Seeing Yi Chen's cold expression, Hong Qianjun was extremely annoyed. He swore to himself that he would crush Yi Chen's confidence, step on his face and give him a good beating. He would like to see if Yi Chen could still be so arrogant and not beg for mercy. Die! Mountain-shattering stamp. Hong Qianjun quickly locked his hands together and launched a wave of yellow-colored palm prints. These palm prints were extremely solid, they looked like small mountains that were sealed within them. What surprised everyone was that Yi Chen didn't take the attack head-on. Instead, he twisted his body and swam downwards like a fish. His movement was incredibly fast, it was hard to imagine that someone could move so fast in the water. The pure Jun Jin Qi condensed into a Qi sword and wrapped Yi Chen up. Driven by the sword intent, the sword moved at an amazing speed. All the water currents seemed to have lost their obstacles and were easily cut open. At this moment, Yi Chen's speed was even faster than the ancient piranha fish. Where do you think you're going? Hong Qianjun was stunned for a second when he saw that his attack had failed. He immediately chased after Yi Chen. The pressure in the water was too great, and Hong Qianjun wasn't good at moving, so he was left further and further behind. While being shocked by Yi Chen's speed, Hong Qianjun pushed his Jin Qi to its limit. His Jin Qi was boiling behind him like water, creating a strong pushing force. Finally, Hong Qianjun locked onto Yi Chen from afar, and launched another attack. Waves of palm prints collided with Yi Chen's body, causing the water currents to become chaotic. The chase lasted for a short while. Yi Chen suddenly stopped, turned around and launched a sword attack towards Hong Qianjun. Mountain-shattering sword Qi. Hong Qianjun laughed out. He thought that Yi Chen had lost his mind, so he hurriedly launched the earth-splitting and border-conquering art to defend himself. However, when he launched the art, his Jin Qi slightly stagnated, but he didn't notice it. The only thought in his mind was to kill Yi Chen and trample him under his feet. Scorching hot sparks splashed out in all directions, boiling the surrounding water currents. In the center of the sparks, the sword Qi continuously hacked on the illusory city outside Hong Qianjun's body. The frequency of the sword Qi was so high that even the surrounding water currents started vibrating, synchronizing with the frequency of the sword Qi. Crack! Suddenly, a cracking sound of something hard breaking came out. The sword Qi's power became stronger than before. Compared to before, it didn't weaken at all, on the contrary, it had become unprecedentedly stronger. As for the Jin Qi's exhaustion, it was as if everything that had happened before was just an illusion. A large crack appeared on the illusory city, and it seemed like it was about to be broken. Hong Qianjun was frightened. Impossible. How can you still have so much Jin Qi? Chapter 152. You don't need to worry about my Jin Qi. As for your Jin Qi, I guess you only have 30 to 40% left. Although your defensive skill is quite powerful, it obviously consumes a lot of Jin Qi. Just now, you forced yourself to use your Jin Qi to chase after me, plus you continuously cast the mountain-shattering stamp. Your Jin Qi has been consumed even more. Yi Chen's voice wasn't loud, but it was as sharp as a sword, easily piercing through Hong Qianjun's heart. Hong Qianjun became angry out of shame. What about you? You should have run out of Jin Qi long ago. The sword continued cutting the small city, creating bigger and bigger cracks. Yi Chen said blandly, unfortunately, I have a pill that can instantly replenish my Jin Qi. I have already swallowed it when I was chasing after you. Half of what he said was true. The pill that could instantly replenish one's Jin Qi was real, but only one pill was fake. In fact, he had a whole gourd full of pills. He didn't know the name of this pill, but he knew that it was very useful. Apart from improving one's Jin Qi, it could also instantly replenish one's Jin Qi, which was many times better than the other pills that could replenish one's Jin Qi. The illusory city formed by his Jin Qi was on the verge of collapsing. Hong Qianjun said word by word, very good, you are the first one under the clasping Yuan realm who could force me to this extent. But, do you really think that you can defeat me? Divide the land, seal the border, condense. Hong Qianjun instantly released the remaining Jin Qi from his body. The illusory city suddenly shrunk a little bit, and the cracks on it gradually closed up. It became more and more solid and thick. The defensive power of the city was so strong that even Yi Chen's sword chi couldn't break it. After reaching the clasping yuan realm, my Jin Chi recovery speed has been greatly increased. Now, I don't need to attack, I just need to defend. I can recover my Jin Chi bit by bit. By then, you will have consumed half of your Jin Chi, and that will be the time of your death. While saying these words, Hong Qianjun was so angry that he almost lost his mind. He had never thought that a late condensing reality realm warrior would be able to push him to this extent. If he didn't kill Yi Chen, he would never be able to eat or sleep in peace. Yi Chen's expression was cold. I want to see how long you can defend. Sword Chi Mountain. Although this sword technique could last for a long time, it would eventually run out of energy. If he continued to use his Jin Chi, the effect would be greatly reduced. Yi Chen decided to cut off his Jin Chi and slashed out again. The violent sword Chi fiercely cut through the illusory city, creating thousands of sparks. Of the two of them, one focused on defense, while the other focused on offense. The audience was dumbfounded. Before the previous one subsides, another one rises. I can't even see this battle clearly anymore. Lu Hanshan let out a long breath and said with a bitter smile. Zhu Mei said, being able to force Hong Qianjun to use all of his strength to defend himself, junior brother Ye's fighting strength is really amazing. But Hong Qianjun shouldn't be underestimated either. That defensive skill is unbelievably powerful, it's definitely a mid-rank Earth Realm skill. Indeed, if Hong Qianjun didn't have this defensive skill, he would have been defeated by brother Yi long ago. Su Jing didn't say anything. She was waiting for Yi Chen to launch a thunderous attack, the kind that would make his opponent have no chance to fight back. In the distance, Ouyang Ming gasped in shock. Yi Chen's power made his hair stand on end. Even Hong Qianjun, who was ranked 69th in the Hidden Dragon ranking and had already stepped into the clasping yuan realm, was forced to use all of his strength to defend, not daring to fight back. Ouyang Lai, the Thunder Hand, said with a murderous look on his face, if Yi Chen doesn't die, our Purple Sun Martial School will never have a peaceful day. Wait until both of them are badly injured, then you and I will use all of our strength to kill Yi Chen. Kill him with one strike, then we will leave immediately, in case we get surrounded by Lu Hanshan and the others. Exactly, this guy is too terrifying. If we don't kill him, we will lose our position in the Windy Nation. We have to kill him. Ouyang Ming said viciously. Hong Qianjun had consumed a lot of his Jin Chi. Once again, a small crack appeared on the solid city wall. The crack seemed to be very small, but it couldn't be ignored, because every time the sword Chi struck on the crack would expand at a visible speed. In a short while, the city would definitely fall. Humph, I'll let you be proud for now. When my Jin Chi recovers to 50%, I'll be able to turn the situation around. Hong Qianjun didn't worry about the small crack at all, he did it on purpose, he wanted to confuse Yi Chen and make him think that he wouldn't be able to hold on for long. All of a sudden, Hong Qianjun's facial expression changed. In his sight, Yi Chen suddenly took back his sword, took a step forward with his left foot, and raised the long sword with his right hand. Yi Chen seemed to have entered a mysterious realm. In the next moment, a stream of extremely sharp chi gathered on the tip of the sword. What does he want to do? Does he still have a special skill? Impossible. A dangerous thought flashed across Hong Qianjun's mind. He was about to activate the conferred territory art to solidify his defense, but it was already too late. Single sword move. Yi Chen held the hidden cloud sword in his hand, and swung it out in an extremely simple and gentle way. This move seemed to be slow, but was actually incredibly fast, because both Yi Chen's arm and the hidden cloud sword seemed to have disappeared. Yi Chen could only see a beam of white light flashing across the air at a speed that was so fast that it couldn't be seen by the naked eye, as if the water didn't exist. In a twinkling of an eye, the beam of white light struck on the crack on the city wall. Crack! The city wall, which was incomparably sturdy, suddenly cracked open from the middle. Puff! A large amount of blood spurted out from Hong Qianjuan's mouth. The protective layer of Jin Qi around Hong Qianjuan's body had already been shattered, and a bone-deep slash appeared on his chest. Inside his body, the sword qi had been violently cutting his meridians and muscles, and even his Jin Qi, which had been circulating in a regular pattern, had been cut into pieces. Without the support of his Jin Qi, the city wall suddenly collapsed, turning into yellow light spots and dissipating in the air. I'm the eldest disciple of the multiple mountain martial school. If you kill me, even if you run to the end of the world, you'll still be dead. Do you want to die? Hong Qianjun glared at Yi Chen with his mouth covered with blood. He didn't believe that Yi Chen would dare to kill him. The Multiple Mountain Martial School was a rank 7 institution in the White Mystery Nation, a mid-level nation. It was an extremely powerful martial artist, and even the leader of the school was an early astral reaching realm martial artist. If Yi Chen dared to kill him, even if he fled to the Sky Cloud Martial School, it would still be useless. The Multiple Mountain Martial School would definitely pressure the leaders of the Sky Cloud Martial School to hand over Yi Chen. Yi Chen responded blandly, "If you knew that this day would come, why did you do it?" Seeing that Yi Chen didn't attack him, Hong Qianjun was secretly happy. This guy is indeed a coward. But since you have offended me, Hong Qianjun, you should be prepared to be killed in the future. I'll make you beg for death in order to avenge the humiliation you've suffered today. Hong Qianjun said, "A martial artist only has one life. If you let me go now, I'll let bygones be bygones. But if you don't, you know the consequences. Sometimes, you can't take the wrong path. Once you make a wrong step, you'll ruin your future." Puff! Before Hong Qianjun could finish his last word, a stream of sword qi chopped his head off. Blood mixed with water spurted out tens of meters high. "Since you've already offended me, there's no other way out. Therefore, you have to die," Yi Chen said with an indifferent face. "Brother Yi, did you kill Hong Qianjun?" Seeing that Yi Chen had broken Hong Qianjun's defense, Lu Hanshan and the other two hurriedly rushed over. On the way, Hong Qianjun and Yi Chen didn't know what Hong Qianjun had said to Yi Chen, but both of them seemed to be in a stalemate. When they arrived, they saw Yi Chen chopping Hong Qianjun's head off with a single sword strike. Yi Chen said, "If I don't kill him today, he will definitely kill me in the future." "You're right." Lu Hanshan helplessly nodded. The true spirit continent was a cruel world. People who were too weak would never be able to stand out. Therefore, they had to be cruel and merciless. If they didn't do anything, they would be fine. Zhu Mei sighed. A hidden dragon-ranked martial artist had died just like that. In the end, he was blinded by his own greed. Yi Chen is dead, he's dead. He killed Hong Qianjun, the Multiple Mountain Martial School will never let him go. Let's go, we have to leave now. In a couple of days, when we get out of the Heavenly Dream Ancient region, we'll tell the elders of the Multiple Mountain Martial School about Hong Qianjuan's death. They will kill Yi Chen. Ouyang Lai's eyebrows twitched. Yi Chen's cruelty and mercilessness made him tremble in fear. Ouyang Ming's face turned pale as he said, "Hong Qianjuan's death is a big deal. He was seeking his own death. You can live if you want to, but you can't live if you want to. Let's go, in case he finds us." Both of them activated their Jin Qi and prepared to leave. "Do you think you can leave?" A voice was heard from behind them. The two turned around to look, and they were shocked to see Yi Chen, who was wrapped in qi swords, shooting towards them at an alarming speed. "Yi Chen, what do you want?" "We're disciples of the Purple Sun Martial School. If you kill me, you won't be able to." Ouyang Ming's head was sent flying into the air. His eyes were wide open, as if he couldn't believe that he was dead. He didn't want to die, he still had a long way to go. Ouyang Lai pointed his finger at Yi Chen and said, "You killed Ouyang Ming, you killed him. From now on, my Purple Sun Martial School will never forgive you. My Ouyang family will chop you into pieces. Just wait for your death. Just wait for the day when your Yi family will be destroyed." So much bullshit. Yi Chen wielded his arm and released a stream of sword qi, cutting Ouyang Lai into two. "Those two bastards. Luckily, we didn't let them get away. Otherwise, we'd all be dead. He would definitely tell others about what happened to Hong Qianjun. Lu Hanshan was still scared. He couldn't even imagine what would happen if the multiple mountain martial schools people knew that Hong Qianjun was killed by Yi Chen. Zhu Mei hated Ouyang Lai to the bone since long ago. She didn't even know how many Sky Cloud martial school's disciples had been killed by him. Good. All of this is because of them. Otherwise, Hong Qianjun wouldn't have come to us for no reason. Now that Hong Qianjun is dead, they still want to put the blame on us. Maybe this is a plan made by the Purple Sun Martial School's leaders long ago. They want all four of us to die in the Heavenly Dream Ancient region. Oh right, Brother Yi, how did you find them? They were nearly 1,000 meters away from us. Clang! Putting the hidden cloud sword back into its sheath, Yi Chen said, I found them long ago, but I didn't do anything. Therefore, I don't think they can open their mouths to talk. Yi Chen's soul power was extremely powerful. He could spread his soul power out for over 1,000 meters. Before the fight against Hong Qianjun started, he had already searched around with his soul power. As expected, the two top-ranked disciples of the Purple Sun Martial School were right in front of him. They probably wanted to watch him die, but unfortunately, in the end, they were the ones who died. Since then, including those disciples who had been killed by the others or the ancient beasts of the Heavenly Dream Ancient region, all the Purple Sun Martial School's disciples had been killed. Su Jing said, from now on, the Purple Sun Martial School's younger generation will no longer be able to compete with us anymore. No matter what, let's go to the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace. It's been a long time. Let's go down. The four of them activated their Jin Qi and moved downwards. Chapter 153. After diving for about 3,000 meters, his protective Jin Qi layer had been compressed to only half an inch away from his skin, which was an extremely dangerous distance. Once his protective Jin Qi layer was shattered, it would be extremely hard for him to get it back up again. After that, he would have to rely on his ability to hold his breath. Fortunately, 3,000 meters was already close to the bottom of the lake. Rumble. Intense vibrations spread out in all directions. Faintly, colorful lights came from the front. Some of these lights were extremely sharp, some were as heavy as a mountain, and some even froze the water into ice. There's a fight going on 1,200 meters ahead, let's go check it out. Yi Chen took back his soul power and said to the other three. At the bottom of the lake was a magnificent palace. No one knew what kind of material the palace was made from. It looked like gold or jade, but it didn't look like gold or jade. The whole palace was shining with a colorful light, giving people a mysterious feeling. Surrounding the palace was a broad square made of white marble. On the square, nearly 400 disciples had been attacking a tens of meters long, scaleless, golden gray, gigantic serpent. This gigantic serpent was extremely powerful. Even though it was being attacked by nearly 400 people at the same time, it was still extremely fierce and unstoppable. Normal attacks couldn't even break its defense. Only clasping Yuan Realm Hidden Dragon ranked martial artists could cause some damage to it. The ancient black gold serpent is powerful, individual attacks won't be effective. Everybody line up and attack it together. The one who said this was Lu Zhao, the top-ranked disciple of the White Mysterious Nation's Rank 7 institution, the White Deer Cave. He was also a young martial artist ranked 61st in the last Hidden Dragon ranked. Lu Zhao is right, everybody line up. The other Hidden Dragon ranked martial artists knew that if they continued like this, they wouldn't know how long it would take. Therefore, they all used their own power to unite the other disciples. Damn it, they always get all the benefits, they only use us when we are in trouble. What can we do? We have to lower our heads when we are in trouble. Anyway, we have to kill this black gold serpent sooner or later, otherwise we won't be able to enter the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace. Just bear with it. Once you step into the clasping Yuan realm, you can be just as arrogant. Many disciples were not happy about this. Many of their brothers and sisters had been killed by those Hidden Dragon-ranked martial artists. At this moment, when they heard that Lu Zhao wanted to control them, they subconsciously refused to accept it. Ah! On the other side, a martial disciple suddenly died. The one who killed him wasn't the dark gold python, but the terrifying Yuan Henging. I gave you face, but you don't want it. What's the point of keeping you alive? Smiling cruelly, Yuan Henging raised his head and said to the others, whoever dares to disobey the command, kill without mercy. Too tyrannical, killing people at every turn. 700 or 800 meters away, Zhu Mei looked angry. Luo Hanshan let out a long breath and said calmly, I think we'd better not go there right now. That Yuan Henging is very aggressive, we might be used as cannon fodder by him once we go there and fight against that ancient dark gold serpent. Although this dark gold serpent is only a level 5 demonic beast, ancient demonic beasts have always been very powerful and have great defensive power. Even mid-clasping Yuan realm martial artists would have to step back when facing it. Brother Yi, Luo Hanshan thought that he would be able to convince the others, but unexpectedly, Yi Chen was the first one to walk out. After taking a few steps, Yi Chen turned around and said, there's no need to hide from him, we can form a battle formation by ourselves. I believe that many of those martial disciples who have grudges against him will join us. Indeed, Brother Yi is not much weaker than Yuan Henging, why do you still hide? Su Jing also walked out. Luo Hanshan gave a bitter smile. The protective layer of qi kept the water out, only the breathable air could get in. Yi Chen took a deep breath. He decided to go over, not because he was confident that he could fight against Yuan Henging, but because he didn't want to lose the heart of a sword artist. To be a sword artist, one had to be fearless. In a situation where the power gap was not huge, hiding was not the way to solve the problem, on the contrary, it would make one lose the spirit. The four of them moved extremely fast, within a few blinks of an eye, they had already arrived in the middle of the martial disciples. It's you. Yuan Henging narrowed his eyes, seeming to be a bit surprised. He licked his lips and said coldly, you guys, come over here, stand in the front row. Seeing this, the other martial disciples were all shocked. Obviously, Yuan Henging was going to use the 4 Sky Cloud Martial School's disciples as cannon fodder. Compared to him, they themselves were not any better. After all, the dark gold serpent was not something that could be stopped by just a few cannon fodders. When the time came, the second batch of cannon fodders would definitely come. However, even though they knew that they might become cannon fodders, they still had to endure it. They didn't dare to disobey Yuan Henging, who had killed countless people. At least, they still had a chance to survive against the dark gold serpent. Yi Chen didn't even take a glance at Yuan Henging, his voice spread out along with his Jin Qi. Who wants to join our battle formation and fight against the dark gold serpent together? Once he said this, everyone was shocked. Even those who were fighting against the dark gold serpent couldn't help but glance over. Yuan Henging laughed out of anger, you have challenged my patience over and over again. Very good. Today, even if you don't want to come, you will have to come. Otherwise, I will kill you. Even if you want to kill me, you will have to pay with your life. I'm just afraid that you can't afford it. Yi Chen's voice was as sharp as metal, piercing through the water. The sharp qi released from his body was even sharper than when he was on the lakeside, and contained an unshakable will. The previous fierce fight with Hong Qianjun had made Yi Chen's understanding of the sword intent reach a new level. If it weren't for the fact that he was limited by his cultivation, killing Yuan Henging would be as easy as killing a dog. Even so, Yi Chen was 30% sure that he could kill Yuan Henging, so there was no need for him to retreat. Good, since you want to die, I will fulfill your wish. Eagle swooping in the sky. Yuan Henging was extremely angry. His body shook and rose straight up into the sky. After that, the Zhenqi eagle flew out of his body and swooped down towards Yi Chen. Chop! Once the sword qi was released, the water started to flow in a reverse direction. The strong sword qi made people slightly dazed. Puff! The Zhenqi eagle's chest was cut open by the sword, it let out a long cry, flapped its wings against the sword qi, and let out a loud metal clashing sound. In the next moment, The water was sucked into this space and formed into a 10-meter wide water ball, then it expanded and exploded. Boom! A thunderous sound was heard. What? He blocked Yuan Hengying's attack. Who the hell is this Sky Cloud Martial School's disciple? Even if Yuan Hengying had only used 80% of his power, a late condensing reality realm warrior still couldn't compete with him. It's really incredible. Don't you think that it looks like the sword intent? Yeah, why didn't I think of it? That is definitely the sword intent, no wonder he is not afraid of Yuan Hengying. Everyone was shocked. Yuan Hengying's eyes had turned red like a devil, which meant that he had already decided to kill Yi Chen. As for the fact that Yi Chen had mastered the sword intent, it didn't affect him at all. A dead sword artist, why would he need the sword intent? If he didn't kill Yi Chen today, he would bring himself a powerful enemy. Today, you will die. I wanted to kill you on the lakeside. No one has ever escaped from me, Yuan Hengying. Yuan Hengying pushed his Jin Qi to its limit, an even bigger Jin Qi eagle was formed. It flapped its wings, causing the water to flow in reverse. Enough. All of a sudden, a cold voice came. Everyone looked towards the source of the voice, and their faces changed. It was Shui Han, the head disciple of the Invisible Martial School, a rank 7 institution in the Sky Serpent Nation. He was ranked 57th in the last Hidden Dragon rank, which was 2 ranks higher than Yuan Hengying. He said blandly, killing that black gold serpent is the most important thing right now. Once we kill him, you can do whatever you want. Yuan Hengying turned his head, his face darkened. Shui Han, you and I are minding our own business. What right do you have to interfere with my business? I'm just reminding you, don't forget why you came to the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region. Fighting over personal feelings will only bring you trouble. Yuan Hengying, Shui Han is right. Killing that black gold serpent is the most important thing right now. Opening the gate of the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace is the most important thing, let's put everything else aside for now. Lu Zhao, the head disciple of the White Deer Cave, also said. Yuan Hengying slightly restrained his Jin Qi, he decided to wait for a while longer. Once he reached the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace and made some progress in his cultivation, he would immediately chase after Yi Chen. As for now, he wasn't so sure about killing Yi Chen. He had already seen how powerful Yi Chen's sword intent was during the Hidden Dragon rank, it was not something that ordinary people could imagine. Luo Hanshan was secretly happy. Yuan Hengying didn't seem to be much more powerful than Yi Chen, otherwise, he wouldn't have listened to Luo Hanshan's advice at all. It seemed that Yi Chen's decision was right. When one's power was almost the same as Yi Chen's, one should never step back, otherwise, it would be harmful to one's future growth. Yi Chen didn't know what Luo Hanshan was thinking, he said loudly, those who are willing to join our battle formation, come here right now, I can guarantee that you won't be harmed. I'm in. I'm in too. And our 7 Mystery Martial School. Immediately, a large group of disciples came to Yi Chen's area, most of them were from Yuan Hengying's battle formation. Seeing this, Yuan Hengying was enraged, his eyes shone with a bright red light. Hiss, 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 the dark gold serpent was indeed a 5th-grade ancient beast, even under the joint attack of all kinds of battle formations, it was still incomparably powerful. From time to time, 2 or 3 disciples would be whipped into 2 by its tail, blood splashing everywhere. However, by now, it had already become a cornered beast. Every single Hidden Dragon ranked martial artist was powerful enough to challenge those who were at a higher cultivation level than him. Although the dark gold serpent was powerful, how could it possibly withstand the joint attack of so many people? As time went by, it was forced to retreat step by step, unable to stop any effective attacks. Kill! Kill! Waves of fierce air power landed on the dark gold serpent's body, causing blood to spurt out. As for those Hidden Dragon-ranked martial artists, they would always attack the vital parts of the dark gold serpent. Their attacks were more than 10 times more powerful than those ordinary disciples. Obviously, they were the main attacking force. After around half an hour, the dark gold serpent let out a wail, its gigantic body heavily thudded against the ground and stopped breathing. Creak! Once the dark gold serpent died, the heavenly dream battle palace seemed to have sensed it. The huge iron gate opened automatically and a pure white light shone on everyone. Buzz! The Jin Qi inside his body vibrated. Yichen found that under the white light, he had already reached the peak of the late condensing reality realm. It was as if he had reached the peak of the late condensing reality realm without any hindrance. Yichen couldn't help but be stunned for a moment, then thought to himself, maybe it's because of the fight against Hong Qianjun, my Jin Qi cultivation has been strengthened, and I only need to cultivate for a few days to reach the peak of the late condensing reality realm. Chapter 154. Although the gap between the late condensing reality realm and the peak of the late condensing reality realm was not that big, but for Yichen, it was extremely valuable. Before, he was 30% sure that he could kill Yuan Henging, but now, he was 40% sure. If he could step into the clasping Yuan realm, killing Yuan Henging would be as easy as chopping melons and vegetables. The other disciples all felt that their cultivation had improved, but none of them managed to make a breakthrough like Yichen. The gate of the heavenly dream battle palace is open, let's go. Let's go. As soon as this white light shone on me, I felt so much better. I can definitely break into the clasping Yuan realm if I get in there. Except for the hidden dragon-ranked martial artists, most of the other disciples had gone crazy. Why did they risk their lives to enter the heavenly dream ancient region? Of course, it was to break into the clasping Yuan realm. As long as they could become clasping Yuan realm martial artists, they would be as powerful as those hidden dragon-ranked martial artists. They wouldn't need to be scared anymore, and they wouldn't need to lower their heads. Piss off! The hidden dragon-ranked martial artists were the fastest, their bodies flashed across the air and darted into the palace gate. Among them, Yuan Henging had killed a disciple who had been blocking his way in a cruel and brutal way. Looking at those crazy disciples, Luo Hanshan said, let's go in as well. Yichen activated his Jin Qi for a few times, found nothing wrong, he nodded and said, this heavenly dream battle palace is indeed very helpful for breaking into the clasping Yuan realm. I think so too. The four of them followed closely behind the others and entered the palace, which was filled with a dense white light. Ho! Taking a deep breath, Zhu Mei said in surprise, what a dense and pure Yuan Qi. It's so much better than the Yuan Qi from spirit stones, I can absorb it with almost no effort. In fact, even without Zhu Mei's reminder, the three of them had already sensed the change of the Yuan Qi once they entered the palace. However, the white light in the palace seemed to be way too strong. Once they entered, they were completely blinded. They couldn't see or sense anything, even Yichen's soul power had lost its effect. It seemed that only the most basic sense of touch and hearing still existed. After about a quarter of an hour, the palace door behind him suddenly closed with a heavy sound. Then, as if there was a small earthquake in the palace, the rumbling sound was continuous, rising and falling. Suddenly, the floor under Yichen's feet sank, and there seemed to be something above sealing this space. Be careful, the internal structure of the palace has changed, Yichen quickly warned. But no one answered. Letting out a bitter smile, Yichen realized that they had been separated from each other. Well, the heavenly dream battle palace wouldn't kill people on their own, so there shouldn't be any danger. Sitting cross-legged on the ground, Yichen was about to meditate and cultivate. Visible to the naked eye, the incomparably dense white light shrank into a ball and entered a huge crystal ball. The crystal ball was colorful and suspended in the air. Yichen quietly observed the situation. Buzz! The air slightly vibrated, and gradually, a human-shaped white silhouette appeared under the crystal ball. The silhouette was holding a great sword, with a straight back. If one looked closely, one would find that this silhouette was exactly the same as Yichen's, even the great sword was exactly the same. It was like a clone of Yichen. Of course, a silhouette was only a silhouette after all, it was pure white, without any facial features. At first glance, one could easily tell that it was created by some kind of energy, and not a real person. Swoosh! Once the white silhouette was formed, it took a step forward and launched a sword attack towards Yichen. Peak of the late condensing reality realm. Yi Chen sensed that the Zhenqi vibration of the silhouette was exactly the same as his own. The speed and power of the silhouette's attack were both amazing, almost as powerful as Luo Hanshan's. In other words, the silhouette was at the level of the Windy Nation's child-to-be. Yi Chen wasn't a passive person, and if he guessed it right, this was the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace's test. Only by defeating the silhouette could one be qualified to stay. Clang! The hidden cloud sword was pulled out of the scabbard. Yi Chen brushed past the silhouette. In the next moment, the silhouette's right arm, which was holding the sword, was sent flying into the air. Wisps of white light emerged from the wound. The silhouette, which had lost an arm, still tried to attack Yi Chen, but its head was chopped off by Yi Chen. The silhouette then transformed back into a stream of white light and flew back into the crystal ball. At the same time, in the enclosed space, which was less than 300 meters away, the same thing was happening. What the hell, it's as powerful as me, and it even has martial skills. It's only slightly weaker than me, but it seems to be quite hard to defeat it. Why is it different from the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace's test 10 years ago? It's always the same. Some people were fighting intensely against the silhouette, and it was hard to tell who would win. Although some of them could suppress the silhouette, they couldn't defeat it within a short period of time, and some of them were surprised and didn't know how to react. All in all, everyone was taking the test, and the difficulty of the test depended on each individual's strength. The first round of the test had ended. 5 of their disciples were hit by the silhouette, and were sent out of the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace. In the scorching ancient desert, beside the gigantic door of light, 5 silhouettes darted out of the door and landed on the thick sand. Yao Kai, Li Jing. These 5 people just happened to be the disciples of the sects that had failed the test. They crawled up from the sand with stunned expressions, and then they seemed to have thought of something. They had a dejected look on their faces, and they didn't even hear the shouts of their respective sects' elders. "You've failed, no one will blame you. Go back and work hard, don't ever give up, otherwise, you won't be able to make any progress in the future. How many of our disciples are left?" "What? You're the only one left?" Some of the elders encouraged them, some asked about the situation inside, and some of them heard the bad news. They beat their chests and stamped their feet, crying. The people inside the palace didn't know what was happening outside, and even if they knew, they wouldn't be able to be distracted. As the first round of the test ended, the second round began. Child-level power from the Windy Nation. Yi Chen's face turned serious. The silhouette in front of him wasn't that powerful, but it was already so powerful in the second round. The third and fourth rounds, and the later rounds, would undoubtedly be even more difficult. If one wanted to pass the second round, he would not only have to rely on his own power, but also his fighting skills. The silhouette dashed over, and Yi Chen swung his sword. Puff! The silhouette's head flew out, transformed into a beam of white light, and merged into the crystal ball. The second round of the test ended, and the number of disciples who had failed doubled. In the first round, there were only 5, and in this round, there were 35. As the number of people who had failed increased, outside the Heavenly Dream Ancient region, all the institutions in the scorching ancient desert had learned about the situation inside the palace, and were all stunned. It wasn't that they didn't know that the Heavenly Dream Ancient region was a place that would devour people, but out of the 660 people who had entered the palace, only less than 300 managed to make it out alive. The others were either killed by the ancient demonic beasts inside, or killed by the disciples of other institutions, or killed by the ancient black gold boa. The death rate had reached a record high, over 55%. Fortunately, 1 out of 10 of the people who survived had a chance to step into the clasping Yuan realm. Otherwise, we wouldn't even be able to enter the Heavenly Dream Ancient region. Too many people died. Fortunately, not all of our disciples died. The third round of the test began. This time, the silhouette was as powerful as the top 100 of the last Hidden Dragon ranking, which was almost the same as Chou Heng, who was in the swamp, and had the power to kill warriors at the same level as him within seconds. After easily killing this silhouette, Yi Chen sensed something different. Every time his attack landed on the silhouette's body, a magical vibration would be transmitted to his own body, and as the vibration became more and more obvious, Yichen realized that there was a stream of extremely pure yuan qi contained within the vibration, which would help him improve his cultivation. In other words, every time he fought, he was actually making progress. The longer he could last, the more progress he would make, and in the end, he might even be able to step into the clasping yuan realm. After figuring this out, Yichen let out a long breath and thought, I finally understand, the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace is not only a test, but also an opportunity, it depends on whether I can grasp it or not. The third round of the test was not difficult for Yichen, but it was extremely difficult for the others. In the seventh sealed space on the east side, Lu Hanshan was gasping heavily. The silhouette in front of him was slightly more powerful than him, it was almost impossible for him to defeat it with his own power. What should I do? Am I going to be eliminated like this? No, since it's a test, there must be a way to pass. Boom! Without giving Lu Hanshan too much time to think, the silhouette launched a heavy punch. The tremendous power contained in that punch was as great as a mountain, as great as a river, surging violently. East Rising Purple Qi, Great Monument Suppression. Lu Hanshan tried his best to push the Extreme Purple Art and the Great Monument Heavenly King Fist to their limits, combining them into a special defensive skill to protect himself. Crack! The Purple Monument couldn't even hold for 3 blinks of an eye, and suddenly shattered. Lu Hanshan rolled away in embarrassment, dodging the terrifying punch launched by the silhouette. At the same time, his qi and blood were boiling inside his body, and his eyes were seeing stars. Oh right, if I can reach the peak of the 9th level of the Extreme Purple Art, I might be able to defeat him. Lu Hanshan's eyes shone. The 9th level of the Extreme Purple Art was called East Rising Purple Qi. The peak of the 9th level of the Extreme Purple Art could draw a purple lotus out of the air, and with the protection of the lotus, the defensive power of the cultivator would be raised by many times. The silhouette launched another attack, but Lu Hanshan didn't back off. Instead, he pushed the Extreme Purple Art to its limit and launched 2 punches in a row. In the other sealed space, Su Jing had released her unprecedented power, and was fighting against the silhouette. Every single punch landed on the silhouette's body, and the fierce gale generated by the punches shook the air like water. The golden light emitted by the 2 silhouettes was sometimes dim, sometimes brighter, and sometimes dimmer. If Lu Hanshan and Zhu Mei were here, they would definitely be shocked, because Su Jing's opponent was even more powerful than young Master North Snow and young Master Duanmu. According to their previous understanding of Su Jing, she had never reached this level, which meant that Su Jing had been hiding her real power all this time. Clang! The silhouette and Su Jing's fists clashed against each other, and let out a terrifying metal clanging noise. Dazzling fire sparks splashed everywhere, and the air was extremely hot. Break! While locking the silhouette's right arm with her left hand, Su Jing's body suddenly shook, and a solid golden light burst out from her body, striking on the silhouette's body and disabling it from moving. After that, Su Jing took the opportunity and threw out a punch, hitting the silhouette's head. With a popping sound, the silhouette transformed into a beam of white light and merged into the crystal ball.